Hello everybody, Erica with One Berkshire, and we're here for another great Women in Business interview, and I'm joined with Alexandra Dest of Alexandra Dest Capital Management, and I want you to look behind us because the first thing you might notice is this is not like a financial institution you've been in before.
Definitely not.
Alex has such a cool story, and I want you to meet this amazing woman in the financial industry.
Thank
So
you.
say hi, Alex.
Hi, everyone.
So we're gonna take a little walk because I want you to see this space. Did you kind of helped renovate this space, right?
And actually, the Nashes designed it and renovated it.
The blue Q Nashes.
Yeah, the blue Q Nashes, according to our needs. We decorated all of it.
So I'm going to give you a quick pan of this view because it's amazing. There's Paul. And some glass offices, really cool artwork on the walls. And I know you can't smell it and hear it in here, but there's incense burning and there's the soft meditation music that you have playing because Alex, as you're going to hear when we listen to her talk, she's into business from the heart.
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot of mindfulness and compassion and meditation that comes with what she does. So let's hear from you. Let's hear some stories. Like tell us about this business you've started.
Okay, so I started in 2009 after having worked in corporate for, I think about 21, 22 years. And I was noticing in corporate that things were just not meshing for me. I wasn't feeling fulfilled or, let's say authentic to who I really was. I was emerging as a person, becoming more secure in my femininity, more secure as a woman in business in this very male-dominated field. And I was bringing a lot of love into my business at that time. And my business was just, the business where I was previously was just exploding to the upside. And I found myself just, not any offense to where I was working, but just the corporate structure wasn't working for who I was. And unbeknownst to me, I wanted to manage a business from the heart. I didn't realize that I set out in that regard, but once I got here and once I started to establish the business, I realized I put a lot of stock in, number one, lateral thinkers who are very creative, think out of the box. And number two, who really want to become true and authentic to who they are. So it's fair to say that anybody who works with me really has to put a lot of value on personal growth because just by being with me and working with me, I demand it. So it's not necessarily the easiest place for people to work if they don't want to work through some personal growth issues. But in the process, what that's created for me is a very sense of satisfaction and completion with the type of people that I'm working with, and the fact that I know that they're growing, like Paul over here, to become, their whole person and a content person in what they do.
Awesome. So let's go for a little walk here. I want you to see kind of this
Okay.
place as we get in here and see these offices.
Check it out. Look at this. These are repurposed from Hillcrest Hospital.
Oh,
The
nice.
Nash brothers did this. It's wonderful.
Very cool.
Yep.
And so you've got a team here that you've been kind of collecting. What would you say is kind of the mission of the way that you operate with your customers? Like what kind of customer would be drawn to you?
I would say, we do have a socially responsible bend. That's not the sole way that we go. But we're looking for people who appreciate boutique money management, small money management, local money management with a Wall Street bend. But also people who think creatively and out of the box. So, for example, Paul's one of the first ones who brought the socially responsible strategy to our office.
Nice.
People are under this myth that social responsible investments don't outperform, and that's not necessarily true. So here's, a young man who came up with, an idea that's really true to who he is. So we were able to bring that forward. And those are the types of people who are interested in those types of investments who will come and work with us.
Totally.
So that's one. And then, of course, again, people who appreciate local contact, very intimate contact. We know our clients really well. We invest our time and energy into them and just hold them on their financial journey.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to go in your conference room because it's so cool in here.
Okay.
And I want to ask you a question. All right.
Ask.
We'll look around here. So in your journey, that's a cool table, by the way.
Yeah, my husband built this one.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And speaking of her husband, they just got back from 2 weeks in Italy.
Yes, we did. It was great.
Awesome.
It was a good time.
So my question for you is, on your journey, you must have run into a challenge or two along the way. Is there anything in particular that you can speak to that maybe you've learned something from that
Absolutely.
you might benefit from?
Okay, so this is why I put a lot of stock in our authentic selves. So for me, it was an internal journey. So we hit a lot of barriers along the way as women. And when I realized, I wasn't being authentic to myself. I was operating from the typical masculine perspective, driven, focused, imbalanced, let's say, an executor. I was very good at executing. But I wasn't bringing in the true aspect of who I was, the feminine aspect of myself. And once I started to, and it was a struggle because I grew up with 5 brothers. I was a tomboy. I was in a very challenging environment on Wall Street, and then of course in a bank as a senior manager. And some of the positions that I chose, I was always playing with boys, and I always felt that I had to be a boy. So one day I figured out, hey, I'm not really happy here. I'm not happy. It wasn't anything to do with them. It was me. I was unhappy with myself.
Like how you were in your
how
own
I was.
skin.
So all of a sudden I realized, boom, oh my gosh, I'm a girl. I'm a girl, and I'm proud to be a girl. And
Newsflash.
Newsflash, I'm a girl. And I realized at that moment I wasn't operating from that soft self. And suddenly pink, light pink, became my power color. And it was like my coming out party. So I got pink pads, pink paper, and started wearing a lot of pink. And once I became authentic to myself, the business just went crazy. And I was bringing in a lot of new accounts. My portfolios were doing exceptionally well. I was really into my intuitive sense, so I was performing very well. So that was, I'd say, the biggest challenge was the personal challenge. It was the challenge of really becoming whole.
And once you're able to be really true to who you were able to attract people who were attracted to your wholeness.
Exactly. Like moth to flame.
Yes. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So that was the biggest challenge, and probably one of my, I would say, greatest accomplishments. It brings us a true sense of joy and bliss and happiness and just fulfillment.
Well, and that leads us perfectly into our last question. I want to walk to your office for your last question, because your office is pretty cool too.
Okay.
So the last question I'm going to ask you is about more that's great word of wisdom for us, is kind of this be authentic to yourself.
Right.
So talk to me about other words of wisdom. Let's see, maybe we can go.
Flip on a light.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Sweet. And we'll just be right here in front of this beautiful picture.
Yes. Berkshires.
The Berkshires.
Okay, so what was the question?
Yeah, so the question is other words of wisdom for us as a woman in business.
Okay. So a lot of times women will mix up the power of the feminine with their sexuality. And, and I was one of those women early in my career where like, oh yeah, I'm sexy, I look good in this. Okay, but at the end of the day, that's not true power. And at the end of the day, it's true power comes from embracing the true aspects of self. So for me, really, it was about accepting my intuition, my intuitive flow. It was about accepting the fact that I had to be this balanced person between being focused, because anybody who knows me knows I can get very focused and driven, but also having this soft side. So it's about really coming to understand yourself more fully, and really recognizing that your true power as a woman comes from that balance.
Yeah, and what you said about intuition, I mean, we could do a whole other show just on intuition and how that adds power to yourself as a business person.
Yeah, and in fact, what's very interesting is in our industry now, more and more women are being recruited, and the recruiters are seeking women because of that aspect. They're becoming better investors. This is not any slam. It's just because they are using that side of the brain. That's what makes Paul very good, is he's using both sides of his brain, and he is balancing the masculine and the feminine. And that actually helps him in his work.
Excellent. Okay, last question. What do you love about the Berkshires?
Oh God, what do I love about the Berkshires? Everything. It's a really simple community in some regard. When I first came here, the thing that struck me the most is how embracing this community is. And I find that, for me, really beautiful old-fashioned values. It attracted me to this place. I felt like I was home immediately. So it was the people, it was the love of the people, the kindness, the simplicity, the environment. I mean, mountains everywhere, mountain biking, hiking, these beautiful lakes. So of course the aesthetics and the arts, beautiful, but it's really the people here. This is really where it's at for me. Nice. I think there's a kindness that these people have.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for being featured with us as our Women in Business interview.
Thank you so
much.
And
if you're watching this on October 24th, Alex is one of the companies being saluted at our Good News Business Salute focused on women in business.
Thank you very much for
so
that.
come on the 24th and give her some more congratulations for all the great work she and her company are doing.
And same with you.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.